My name is Johnny Berry. I'm 25 years sober. Growing up, I got to give a shout out to my parents. You know, they raised me well, and they raised me with the intention of that drinking before you're 21, right, is not the best thing to do. And I always wanted to show them respect. So when I was at my first party when I was younger and there was alcohol there, I just knew it was something that I wasn't going to do because A, I didn't want to disrespect my parents, and B, just wasn't for me at the time. You know, I was like, I'm ninth grade, I'm playing sports, and I was like, I don't need to get into that, you know. And so that was definitely like a big thing that was like the first reason why I didn't start was for my parents. And then as the years went on, I realized that when I was with my friends and at parties, I would still have a lot of fun, and I wasn't drinking. And I'm like, well, if I'm having just a great time as everybody else, I don't need to do this, and it could lead me down a wrong path. So one day I'm like, I'm never going to drink. And I would just keep saying it to everybody, I'm never going to drink, I'm never going to drink. And people would always question me, and, you know, they would try to get me to drink and things like that. With that being said, I also have ADHD and OCD. You know, growing up with that, I've always been like the crazy kid, if you will, very spontaneous, making rash decisions, things like that. So with going out, I was very energetic and outgoing, so I never needed it. But with that being said, there was an article that was written about me, and they said that a little over 25% of alcoholics have ADHD. And every person I ever talk to, I'll say, oh, I have ADHD. And they're like, me too, but I drink and I smoke and so on and so forth. And there's been times where I've spoken to, you know, grown women, grown men, and like, oh, my child has ADHD, but they're struggling with, you know, marijuana or alcohol. And sometimes I'm like, and I always say this is not the right word. I always say like guilty. Like I don't feel guilty, but I'm like, how did I do it? You know? Well, so basically how it started was after high school, one day I'm like, I'm always sober. So I'm like, I want to wear something and be proud of who I am. And I was like, let me go buy it online. So I typed in always sober hoodie and I couldn't find anything. So I'm like, that's interesting, because I for sure thought somebody would have done it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. So the next thing you know, a couple months go by, and I bought alwayssober.com on GoDaddy. And then I got my first couple of shirts. I was wearing it. Alwayssober.com, Always Sober brand on Instagram. I'm verified now. I definitely want to shout out everybody that's been around me. They definitely, you know, are there for me and support me. But also, like, you know, I had to be there for myself too. You know, a lot of people, you know, will make comments or like, oh, this should be called abstinence because you never done it, or oh, you never struggled, or things like that. And I appreciate and respect everybody's opinion, you know. But at the same time, it's like I had to go through a lot to not do that. You know what I mean? Even to this day, like it could be easy just to be like, oh, yeah, I just want to forget the night, or oh, I just want to, you know, hide pain, or whatever the case may be, you know. So it's like I had to go through a lot to not that I'm better than anybody. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I'm just trying to be the best person I could be, you know, to try to help people in life. But it was definitely a lot. Definitely having my brand and having the mindset made it easier, because once I said I wasn't going to do it, nothing was going to change that. No amount of money, no amount of friends, no amount of anything. Like that's the one thing I'll take forever, to never drink, never smoke, not even a vape, no cigarette, weed, nothing. Yeah, you know, I think the ADHD, it's funny because ADHD could be a lot of people's downfalls, and it's not easy having it, you know. But in a way, it almost, I think, helped me not to drink, because I was already very outgoing and I didn't need the liquid courage, you know. But like, let's not lie to anybody. When I see my friends at let's say it's a bonfire and they're smoking cigars and drinking, I'm like, man, they're in their mode, they're chilling. And like my whole life, I can never just chill. Like I have to do something. I have to be playing something. I have to be doing something. I can never just sit there and just like drink. I don't drink coffee. Like I don't have that thing where you wake up, you put your feet up, so my mind's always spinning. Um, so, I've just tried to always be myself. I didn't want to be anybody else. I just wanted to be me. I mean, it's always a journey, right, with health and wellness. I try to work out as much as I can. I play sports. Just try to stay active. I also listen to podcasts. Keep my mind right. But it's definitely a journey, and I'm trying to work at it every day. It's like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. But the thing is, throughout everything, like I just never gave up. And like I'll never give up. There's so many times and so many weeks where I'm like, all right, Monday, that's it. I'm gonna do this, that, and the third, like no more. And then it's like, all right, no, for real this time. And it's like I know I've spoke to myself and said this, but I'm like, no, actually for real. So it's just like it's a constant thing, going on and on and on. But yeah, like you gotta take risks in life, and I'm a big risk taker, and it'll pay off one day. I think it kept me having like a purpose, because growing up, all I thought about was sports, and then as you get older, when you're really not playing as many sports a lot, there's different avenues of life, work, this, that, and the third, and always sober my brand and being sober, it kept me going and having something to strive for and hopefully inspire people about. I don't care what anybody else does. This is just my thing that I'm going to do because I have a very addictive personality. And if I drank, I'd be under the ground right now in like 3 days probably. Because once I do something, I'm all in. So I know if I did it, it would be a wrap. And I also can't ruin my brand. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure to me to stay sober and to be on point, because it's like if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? Like I got people that look up to me, and people have been like, oh, I was at a party but I didn't drink because I heard your story, or I wanted to, or I feel like I can't fit in, but hearing you, I feel more accepted. Like I'm trying to be the voice for the people that can't speak up. Like my whole life, everybody always had to ask the teacher something, or like I was the one that wasn't afraid to go talk in front of however many people, whatever the case may be. Like I've always had confidence, and sometimes probably through life people maybe took the confidence as me being like cocky or like, oh, I think I'm better than me. But that was just me building myself up, because if I was going to do that, then I would just be sad all the time. So like I have to talk that positivity in my brain to actually believe it, because if like you don't believe in yourself, like who's going to do it for you? I just plan on to keep making a lot more content, speaking to as many people as I can, doing videos, just keep working on my brand, to try to get in front of as many people as possible. Hopefully I'm going to start talking in schools and ceremonies and things like that, to just try to get the message out to as many people. There's definitely been a lot of cases where I say to myself, man, like I wonder how it would be if I actually did drink, or like at a party or a social gathering, I'm the only one that doesn't have a drink in my hand, but at the same time, I've always preached like I don't need to fit in, so it's weird because like I have this one way where I'm like, I wonder how it would be, but then another way I was like, I know I'll never actually act on it. It's like I'll never act on it, but there's been times I'm like, man, like I could understand why people do it. Like I'm not gonna lie, like am I going into a bar and am I right away just like not really, that's till later in the night when I get a little wild. But like it definitely, I could see like people like with the liquid courage, I could see that being a real thing. I could see how, if people are going through a lot of things in their life, they'll just drink away. I could see that, and there's been times where like, man, like wow, that would be interesting, but at the same time it's like, it's at the end of the day, that's not the right choice, because it might hide the pain or hide the stress for that moment, but then the next day it's all going to go down. Recently I was at a store and I was wearing my hoodie, and somebody came up to me and I'm like, oh, I'm 8 days sober, and like I got to take a picture of you and send it to my mom, and when that happened, I was like, I just was speechless. I was like, wow. So we ended up having a conversation, and it was pretty interesting because, I hope when I meet these people, they go on to flourish in life, right? But, with addiction and drugs and alcohol, it's hard, right? So when I had this conversation with this gentleman, the next day, no one knows what's going to happen, right? But that night, after we spoke, we still don't know what's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure that night he was going to go home and make the right choice because of the interaction we had, because it was fresh in his brain. So, just me making this clothing brand, like, it might sound silly to some people, but I mean, it could really change someone's life just by seeing it and then them wearing it and be proud of it. So now I'm just trying to hopefully use my voice and my lifestyle to show people that it is possible to have fun in life without drinking or using. Yeah.